kind of like pancakes. First pancake that you always make, it never's right. It's almost like a throwaway, but you have to do that one to get to the good ones.
This is Enable, the Disability Podcast, where we'll share stories, experiences, support, resources, and more for people with disabilities and different abilities. We are at Enable Podcast on social media. My name is Deaf Jeff Herbert.
And my name is Kurt Hauer. We're talking with Dave Devendorf, Director of Employment at Access CNY. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Dave, for people with disabilities who are looking for a job, what are some of the first steps that you recommend they take?
I would recommend the first thing they do is to get with their local Access VR office. They provide a service to all people with disabilities. They can help them with job development. They can help them with resume development. They can help them with benefits advisement. If an individual needs extra schooling for whatever kind of work that they're looking for, they can assist with that. Vehicle modifications. It's just nice to have people supporting you in a difficult time. Um, so that would be my first recommendation is to get with them. They can kind of help put you on the right path.
So, if I'm going in for an interview and I'm filling out an application or during the interview process, do I have to disclose that I have a disability?
Absolutely not. Disclosure is a 100%. It is your choice whether you disclose or not. There are obviously pros and cons to disclosing, and you want to kind of weigh those out. I will say this, if you are going to need a reasonable accommodation, it definitely is a benefit to disclose ahead of time and let them know that that is something that you're looking for. Um, because anytime if you have to disclose after the fact, if something's happened and you disclose, well, that's because of my disability, it may sound to the employer like it's an excuse, and now it's going to be a reoccurring thing or a bait and switch. But if you tell them ahead of time, they're going to be much more amiable to getting the reasonable accommodations.
That's good to know. Now, Kurt was talking about the interview process, and that can be daunting for anybody of any ability. Do you have any job interview tips?
Absolutely. The first thing that I would tell anyone is to be yourself at the interview. Don't try to sit there and tell the employer what you think that they want to hear. All that's going to do, best case scenario, you tell them what they want to hear, they hire you for a job, and it's not anything that you want to do because you're being somebody else. If you're being yourself, they're going to see it. Lots of people, they're going to interview lots of people, and a lot of them are going to be telling them exactly what they think they want to hear. You need to set yourself apart, be honest, be yourself. The other thing I would do is I would try and do some mock interviews, whether it's a friend, family, co whatever. Find someone to do a mock interview with, set up your cell phone, video yourself doing it so you can see and hear what the employer does. It'll give you a pretty good frame of reference on how you are presenting yourself.
Or you could do a podcast interview.
Or you could do a podcast interview.
Well, I have a question. You mentioned accommodations, and you also mentioned reasonable accommodations. So, what's the difference between the two? And if I need a reasonable accommodation or an accommodation, how do I go about that?
So a reasonable accommodation, and it's protected under the ADA. It really what it is something that you need to be successful at your job that is not going to cause a hardship to the employer. Something like a standing desk if you're someone that can't sit for long periods of time. It's $100. That's not going to cause a hardship to an employer. Building a stairwell outside of the building because you like to have the sun facing the west, it's a little bit more of an unreasonable, technically still an accommodation, but it's an unreasonable one. Um, most employers, all you really have to do is you talk to your supervisor about it. Most employers are going to do whatever they can to help you out with reasonable ones. You may have to, they may ask you to do a written one, and if that's the case, you just write, "This is my disability. This is why I'm asking for this accommodation. Um, I do recommend that people go to, what's the site called? AskJan.org. Um, Jan is the Job Accommodation Network. It's a great resource. It has different letters that people can write if they need to. It actually goes through the steps on if someone rejects your accommodation, what you can do there.
So just a follow-up question to that. I had a friend that had asked for an accommodation and she needed some help with her desk. And initially, the employer said, no, we don't think that's a reasonable accommodation and we need more information. So she had to go to her doctor and the doctor prescribed the device for her. Um, can they do that?
They can. Unfortunately, they can. It doesn't happen as much because most employers kind of, at this point, they realize what they can do and what they can't do, or what they should and what they shouldn't do. Um, they can ask for more information on it. Um, Normally that happens when someone wants something more expensive.
Now we're talking a little bit about how to get the job, but where do you find the jobs? Where do you recommend looking for jobs? Are online application job fairs, or are there other resources that you recommend?
The answer is yes to all of those. All right. Online is the easiest, least stressful way of doing things. It's also the way that 99% of the people are doing things. Job fairs are tremendous. I cannot recommend them strongly enough. An employer may get 30, 40, 50 applications for something, for an opening. They all tend to look the same after a while. But you go to a job fair, you're getting face-to-face time with them. They're able to put a face to the name, to the resume. You're gonna stand out. You're also going to be able to talk about what's not on the resume. The things that you'd put on a cover letter, what you learned from those jobs. It really puts you 10 steps ahead of anybody else. Um, the other thing that I would recommend people do, and it's tough, but word of mouth. Put it out there on your socials. Talk about the fact that you're open for work, that you're looking for work, because you never know who may be hiring. Maybe a friend of yours knows somebody, their company is hiring, or they know of somebody that's hiring. It's almost like a warm handoff at that point. You've got the inside track on something. Um, so I would recommend all of those different ways of doing it.
So you talked about the job fair being one of the best tools for getting an interview, maybe getting your face in front of an employer. And Jeff and I had the opportunity to participate with you at CNY Works, and we 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 came away thinking that was a valuable um opportunity for people with disabilities to come out. Um, but where can they go to find out more about those kind of job fairs? Do you provide that information?
CNY Works has their website and they have a list of the job fairs. Destiny does job fairs and they put theirs on there all the time. The Department of Labor will normally tell you when there's different job fairs going on. Again, if you follow and go through Access VR, your Access VR counselor will absolutely let you know when there's different job fairs going on. There's no one great place to find them all. Um, but if you try a couple of different avenues, again, CNY Works, Access CNY, Access VR, those are all some great places to do it.
So, just for our viewers and listeners that are outside of the Syracuse area, Dave's talking about resources that are in Central New York. But I will throw one more recommendation out there that I like to use, which is as an SEO guy, Google Alerts is very helpful. So, for example, you can go to Google and I think it's just google.com/alerts, and you can set up a keyword phrase that you want to send you an email every time that this phrase comes up. And you can do it by location too. So if you're looking for news alerts about a job fair and you want it in your location, you can get an email of that every day, every week, every month, however often you want it. And that can help you as well.
Absolutely. Google, it's a great resource for those things.
What about, I came across some folks that had difficulty communicating. And when we were at the job fair, they were in a situation where they might have their resume, they might have somebody there to help communicate for them. But any any suggestions on what they might do to prepare for a job fair or an interview, or what kinds of jobs should they be looking at?
One of the things that I tell people all the time is practice these interactions because these interactions are very, very stressful. But the more you practice it, the more comfortable you become at them, the more you realize that there's only a few things that they're going to ask you. They're not going to ask you all of these strange and challenging questions. For the most part, they're going to ask you, "Oh, what are you interested in? What kind of things do you like to do? What are your strengths? What are those kind of things?" Especially at a job fair, the people at the job fair are keeping it all positive. And so that kind of makes it a lot easier when you go there knowing that they're not gonna try and trick you, they're not gonna be condescending, they're gonna be positive because that they want people to come there. They want people to see what a kind and caring place that they are. Um, so practice it, take a little bit of the fear of the unknown out of it, and honestly, the other thing I would say is just go out there and do it. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Don't get discouraged if the first person that you try to talk to, you stumble over every word that you say. It's kinda like pancakes. First pancake that you always make, it's never the right it never's right. It's almost like a throwaway, but you have to do that one to get to the good ones. It's the same thing.
So one other question that comes to mind is, are there resources available? Can I get somebody to help me with an interview that would actually come with me or participate in the process?
Absolutely. There's, a lot of places, our place is one of them, they do what's called job coaching, or you get an employment consultant. Typically, they're assigned through Access VR, which is part of why I send people that direction because they're gonna send you to one of the places that do it. But an employment consultant will help you with all of it. They will help you with interview prep. They will help you with resume development. They will go to interviews with you. If typically they're not going to speak for you in the interview. They want you to do the speaking. It is you that is getting hired. It is you, the person that really needs to shine, but they'll be there to support you with it and kind of get over that fear and help you with what you need to get through it.
We'll put a link for all these resources that Dave is talking about in the description of this episode. We've also talked on the podcast about how people can still work while receiving SSI, Supplemental Security Income, or SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance Benefit, at ssa.gov. Is that the best place to find out more about that, or are there other places that you recommend?
That's a great place to do it. But you can also go through and get what's called a benefits advisor. Um, your local Department of Labor will have one. You can get one through Access VR. And what that is, that is a certified individual who's gone through all the training that knows exactly how whatever you earn, how, the impact that it'll have on the benefits of you specifically. Sometimes when you go to the SSA.gov, it gives you a general information. It helps to have a credentialed person um, give you your exact situation because how it's going to affect you may be different than how it's going to affect someone else based on the amount of years you've worked, the amount of times you've gone over amounts, and things like that. It really helps to have somebody credentialed in it that knows exactly what they're talking about to give you the best advice.
Okay. And a quick follow up, we've also talked about people that are worried about losing benefit if they work a job. But that's not true. You can still work while receiving benefits, correct?
You absolutely can. It's set up so that you can do both. They want people to do both. It's beneficial. Most For most people, you're going to end up with more money if you're doing both. If you're receiving the SSI and the and a job and a paycheck, you're going to end up with more in the end. It also, for those people that are on it that don't necessarily want to stay on it, you're doing both. You realize that you can work. Maybe you want to work more hours. And that's how the system is set up is so that it helps you do both, I guess is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's great advice. And you provided a lot of useful tips and tools for the audience, Dave. So thank you for that. Wondering if you had any closing thoughts that you'd like to share before we go.
Absolutely. I would just say when you're looking for work, treat yourself with a little bit of grace. It is a very, very difficult, it is a very stressful process. All right. Celebrate every little win that you get. Maybe your win for today was I applied for 3 jobs. That's a great day. Celebrate that win. There's going to be enough rejection in it. There's going to be enough challenges. Celebrate the wins where you get them. All right. And you'll get through it and things, brighter days are ahead.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you for joining us. This is Enable, the Disability Podcast. We are at Enable Podcast on social media. Please like, follow, and subscribe.
And please share this podcast with your friends and family so we can share more stories about people with different abilities that bring us all together. Thank you.